Payment apps like Venmo and Cash App have been under major scrutiny in the past year or two. In fact, the IRS has made some key changes to the rules for these applications. So if you're a business owner, then you need to be aware of this. And if you use these payment apps incorrectly, you could face some serious legal trouble. So today, I'm going to explain why I strongly recommend that business owners consider using Zelle instead of Venmo or Cash App for business payments. This is one of those videos that you're not going to want to miss. Without further ado, let's dive in. All right, guys. Now, I have already published a video explaining the new rules for payment apps. So if you haven't already watched that video, I would highly recommend you do so. But as a quick reminder, the IRS is now requiring payment app companies like Venmo and Cash App to file a Form 1099-K for any users who earn more than $5,000 through their apps. Form 1099-K reports payment app earnings to the IRS. The $5,000 threshold is only for tax year 2024. It is set to drop even lower to $600 in 2025. So to understand how this works, let's say that you are an artist and you've been accepting payments for your paintings, and these payments have been going through Venmo. In 2024, as soon as your earnings cross over $5,000, it will trigger Venmo to send a Form 1099-K to the IRS. Once the IRS receives this form, it will be able to see all of the business payments that you have received through your Venmo account. Now, there's been some reaction to these rules. As you can imagine, many business owners were upset about the new rules for these payment apps. That is part of the reason why the IRS decided not to lower the 1099-K threshold to $600 for 2024, and instead is waiting until 2025 to make the threshold this low. You see, the main reason why so many business owners were upset with this rule change is because the 1099-K used to only be triggered when a business owner generated more than $20,000 in payments and had over 200 transactions through a payment application. So now, many people, and I say many, a lot, even casual sellers will be under a much higher level of scrutiny from the IRS. So does the new 1099-K rule change apply to Zelle? In the last video I published about payment apps, many people were asking me if the new rules apply to Zelle. Well, interestingly enough, the answer is no. Zelle is not required to send Form 1099-K to the IRS when you receive more than $5,000 in earnings through the app in 2024 or $600 in 2025 and beyond. The reason why this is the case is because Zelle never technically controls your funds. It simply facilitates the transferring of funds from one bank account to another. Zelle is a payment network controlled by a consortium of banks. And it turns out that because Zelle never controls funds, this makes it exempt from the new 1099-K rule for payment apps. So you might be asking, do you still have to report your earnings to the IRS if you're using Zelle instead of Venmo? I just want to make this very clear for all of you watching this video. Yes, even if you use Zelle, you are still required to report your earnings to the IRS. The difference between using Zelle and another payment app like Venmo or Cash App is that Zelle will not also be reporting your earnings with a 1099-K. So which apps should you use? You see, many payment apps like Venmo allow you to have both a personal and a business account. But this doesn't necessarily mean that you should use the same payment app for both business and personal transactions. In fact, it can make a lot of sense to use one app for personal transactions and another for business transactions. The reason why this is the case is because, generally speaking, it is a good idea to keep your personal transactions as far separate from your business transactions as possible. If you fail to separate your personal from your business transactions, then you could accidentally commingle or mix business and personal funds, which could hypothetically result in a piercing of your corporate veil. If you accidentally pierce your corporate veil, which is the legal barrier between you as an individual and your business, then it could potentially result in a loss of liability protection if you have an LLC or another business entity with liability protection. This is definitely not something that you want to deal with because it could result in you having to surrender personal assets like cash in your bank account or your vehicle in the event of a lawsuit against your business. To make things simpler, I recommend that my clients simply avoid using payment apps for their businesses if possible. The lower your risk of accidentally commingling funds is, the better it is. However, if you're going to use one of these apps for business, I recommend that you consider going with Zelle. And here's why. You see, the advantages of Zelle are pretty simple. Number one, you have free transactions. Zelle doesn't charge a fee for transactions. This means that it is free to both send and to receive money through the Zelle payment network. This is extremely important, especially if you have a high volume business with a lot of transactions, or if the transactions at your company tend to be on the higher side. A lot of other payment apps charge fees for various types of transactions, and they're often charged as a percentage. These fees range from 0.5% to 3%. For example, Venmo charges a 3% fee for sending money using a linked credit card. Over time, these fees add up, and why pay fees if there's another option that lets you avoid them? Number two is fast money transfers. Money transfers with Zelle can be completed within minutes. However, money transfers with certain other payment apps can take 1 to 3 days. It can be highly beneficial for business owners to get access to funds quickly. Once the funds hit your bank account, you can immediately reinvest those into your business, use them to pay for staff, buy inventory, and do the things that are needed for a business to grow. As the old saying goes, time is money. So the less time you have to wait for your money transferring over to your bank account, the better you are as a business owner. And number three, privacy. Some payment apps such as Venmo have transactions set to public as a default. This means anyone can see your transactions. This creates potential privacy concerns for businesses. Yes, it is possible to switch your transactions to private, but many people who use Venmo either don't know this or they simply forget to do so. Privacy concerns can vary from business to business. And for example, an ice cream shop doing $10 transactions might not care about having public transactions, but a tech company that has large transaction sizes and stores a lot of customer information might not want all of its transactions to be public information. Transactions on Zelle are always private, there is no middleman, and the money simply moves from one bank account to another. They are not published on a public social media feed, so if privacy is a concern for your business, then Zelle could be a much better option than other payment apps. And I'm not saying don't ever use Venmo and Cash App. What I'm just saying is you might want to consider only using them for personal transactions and not for business transactions. Many payment apps such as Venmo, were designed specifically for personal transactions and can truly make personal transactions easier and even more fun. Thanks to features like being able to add emojis, payments, it really is a personal app. But what is not fun is making critical financial mistakes for your business that could potentially cost you a lot of money if you're sued or expose your business to major privacy concerns. Now, I know there are a lot of passionate Venmo and Cash App supporters out there who won't stop using these apps for business, no matter what I say. So if you fall into this category, then I consider doing business transactions through one of the apps and personal transactions through the other. This can provide you with a good layer of protection against commingling. What other payment app methods can you use besides Venmo and Cash App and Zelle? There are many other payment methods that you can use for your business that can potentially help you reduce your commingling risk. For example, you can use wire transfers. You can even send invoices through QuickBooks, and you can send invoices through Stripe. You can even do money transfers if you really wanted to. But if you're someone who hires a lot of contractors, many freelancing platforms such as Upwork also have their own built-in payment systems. And these payment systems allow you to enter your business bank card information for making payments easier. Once you integrate your business payment information, you can easily make payments to freelancers on the platform with zero risk of accidentally commingling your personal and business funds together. Many businesses in the modern world rely heavily on online freelancers. So these approved third-party payment systems on sites like Upwork can be extremely beneficial. When it comes to payment apps like Venmo, Zelle, and Cash App, the bottom line is that you need to make sure that you do not commingle the funds. If you're going to use one of these apps for business, then I personally believe that Zelle is the best option for that case. It has faster transactions, zero fees, and better privacy than alternatives like Venmo. And also, just so you know, I'm not affiliated with Zelle or sponsored by Zelle in any way. I just like this option for the best. Okay, that's all I got for today's video. Thank you so much for joining, by the way. If you want access to additional game-changing tax information and powerful resources to help you save a fortune in taxes, then check out my new community, Tax Strategy Accelerator, below. You can also network with other professionals and entrepreneurs looking to invest in real estate and reach the next level financially in this community. The link is in the description below, so be sure to check it out. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers.